Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with Gordon McKernan of Gordon McKernan Injury Lawyers. We're going to be talking about lawyering, legal jargon, avocado seeds, NIL deals, and just a plethora of Louisiana business, Louisiana highway stretches, and who knows. We're going to get into all sorts of different things. But before we get into that, I want to give a big, wonderful shout out to the amazing sponsors that make this show possible each and every week. Government Taco, Falaya Real Estate, Mallard Bay Outdoors, Horizon Financial, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, and Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. Without further ado, Gordon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm glad we're able to make this happen. Alex, shout out to Alex, made us connect up and get this going, and I'm really excited to have a conversation with you about what it is that you do, man.
Well, I'm excited too, and Alex is my marketing director and does a great job.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'd say your marketing director does a pretty good job of getting, as we were discussing before the show, your brand out there. Right. Getting the Gordon G brand across to wherever your potential customers are. So who are you and what do you do?
Well, first I'm a husband and a father and son and brother and those things. I kind of work out in concentric circles. I'm a Christian. Once you get outside of that, I'm a lawyer, I'm a businessman, and hopefully a lot of other good things in life, but I'm a very competitive person. I'm a curious person. The curious part really, as I get older, I'm more curious than I've ever been. Want to constantly know things, just like in here and looking at Falaya, already, what is that about? Starting to think about, all right, what would that look like? So just a lot of things, but hopefully at the end of the day, I'm just a regular guy that you could sit down and have a beer with, or, go home to my family, and those little smaller things of life are what are important to me.
Yeah, I think that's staying true to that center core value is kind of always important for anyone and everyone, regardless of what path you're on. It's making sure you check back at home, touch home plate every now and again while you're going out doing different things, building different businesses. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, my wife is my high school sweetheart, right? So and actually we were boyfriend girlfriend in elementary school, right, for fifth and sixth grade.
So this is a whole lifetime together.
Yeah, it is a lifetime. I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to meet her early in life, and before she could really find other men and see how great they were. She goes, "All right, this one's not bad." So it's just been a blessing. But that's really my world: my wife, my kids, and close family and friends.
That high school sweethearts, even elementary sweethearts, is like a hard thing to come by. So I'm fortunate enough, same as you, not quite as that far back, but junior in high school is when my wife and I met.
There you go.
And so we've been together ever since. But it's always interesting to hear, oh, my high school sweetheart and I got married, and then however many years down the line we're still married.
That's right.
That's the important part about that family-centered focus is, we met in grammar school or elementary school, and we got married when we did, and now we're still here so many years down the line through thick and thin, good times and bad.
Well, congratulations to you as well.
Well, thank you. So how did we get here to this, what essentially is a half a room of swag with the G and Gordon all over it? How did we get here?
Well, a saying that, is one of mine, and although one of my good friends, Brad Mittendorf, has told me it wasn't a compliment, but anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And he's a historian, and he's a very smart gentleman, and he says, this is how it came about. And I'm like, well, I don't know, but I just like it. So whatever I tend to do in life, I really get into it, and I tend to overdo it, whether it's sports or business. So somewhere along the way, I got the idea from watching a game show that, and you see the people win different prizes as they go up a level, and the more prizes they win, the higher the level and things like that. So I thought, well, what about something similar in terms of my clients? When we recover money for them, they could have some swag to remember us by. And we have different levels in terms of how much they recover, and they get to choose one from each level until they've topped out at the value of their case. And you'd be amazed to watch these clients of ours enter our swag room and just shop. Really, it's just about going from level to level, and there's cooking spices and barbecue tongs and champagne and wine and clothes and vases, and it's an experience, and they really appreciate it, almost more than the check
than the actual case
it's crazy.
I think with with like swag, to quote Michael Scott, stuff we all get, right? Like that is something that will never go away with people. They just love the element of getting branded items.
Yeah.
And like you said, even more so than getting that check at the end of the day, like, oh no, I got a T-shirt or a hat or a koozie or a cup or an ice chest or what have you, that it almost becomes that element of branding for the company where we're not going to spend any money on, ad dollars or anything. We're just going to give them our branded items and just have them spread that word out there.
No, it's true. And I got the very first idea, Jenny Peters over there at Varsity Sports. Great
Love Jenny
lady.
Peters. Previous guest on the show.
Yeah, great brand. And you go in there, you buy something, you get the T-shirt, right? And so I started off with that concept. Well, I'm going to start giving T-shirts away if they could do it. And we just started giving lots and lots of T-shirts away. And then those T-shirts spread all across the South, and people would take pictures around the country. They'd see them, get back. Those would get back to us. I said, well, why not just take it up a level? Why not just keep doing it? It just kept going and going and going until it kind of got out of control.
At what point did you think it got out of control?
If you would walk into the room, you would say it's out of control. Really when people are more interested in the swag than the check, it's interesting to watch that dynamic occur. But, my attorneys who walk the clients through the room will report back the different exchanges, and you're like, really? Yeah, they basically almost forgot about the check. They just spent a long time in the room shopping. Yeah.
Do you get people coming to you now that say, oh, I saw all the swag that you give out, and is now that part of the strategy of how much can we accumulate or give
I've
them?
moved a certain amount of swag out into the lobby area where we have free cold drinks and stuff, and if someone wants something free, they can go grab it. So there's T-shirts and spices. We have a spice, we have a sauce, we have just lots of things. They can grab some of that swag as well.
Yeah, I had an ice chest here waiting for me when I showed up, and I was surprised to find like a bottle of wine, like a bottle of hot sauce. So are you creating the own spices, or are you just using like branded generic products?
We worked with Best Spice. We took their basic thing. I said, I like a little more garlic. I like a little more this, but I didn't start it from the ground up. We got some ones from the ones around the South, like theirs the best. But I said, can we just tweak it a little bit? And they did it. They were great to work with.
So getting started back in the 90s, right? That's when you got started with Gordon.
Wow.
I'm sure this was never a picture in your head of being to the point where you've got all this different stuff.
No.
So what was it like getting started back then?
Well, I was fortunate enough that my dad was a lawyer, and he was a really gifted lawyer. I mean, the thing you would think about and people talk about, like Robert Redford type actor, he was a lot like that. He was a good-looking man. He had blue eyes. He could talk like a Baptist preacher. He was great. And so he was really talented, always in the courtroom, and he was proud to be a trial lawyer. And he always wanted me to come into the business. So I went ahead and did that. And, from 92 through, early 2000s or so, I was groomed in that, to go to court, to try cases, to build up cases. And so it was a smaller shop. It was 3 or 4 of us, 12, 13 employees total. And somewhere along the way, maybe 2006 or 7, I could see the shifting dynamics. And I could see that it didn't matter as much as how good of a job you did for a person, whether that person would come back to you, that there was a much more influential dynamic out that, and that was the advertising lawyers. And I could see advertising lawyers were getting cases that a law firm like ours should have gotten, a good law firm who did really good work, but it didn't matter anymore. So I remember having the conversation with them and say, look, it's changing, and we have to either change and get really small like me and you, or I need to go try this. And he was generous enough to me to say, yeah, why don't you go do that? At that point in time, he had made a lot of money and didn't want to chase that. And he was 60-something years old. And so he was, like I said, generous and said, you go do that, and let's see what happens.
So from there, you kind of got the idea of how do we get the name out there more?
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I didn't study marketing in college or business or anything. I studied English, right? No idea how to do it, and was just fortunate to meet some right people along the way who opened some doors and was able to pursue it. And, here we are. I never expected it.
So going into your law school and coming out, was it always the intention I'm going to go work with Dad, or was it let me go try somewhere? Were you the kid that always wanted to work with Dad, or the kid that wanted to go try their own thing first?
No, I wanted to work with him. I looked up to him. I idolized him. He was just a wonderful man.
Yeah. So then go into this phase of let's try this branding, being the advertising lawyers. Yeah. Was like billboard your first try, or did you start with park benches?
No, first trial was just TV, right? And
Okay.
you know, my dad wasn't a fan of advertising lawyers like most of the lawyers from that generation. He was not a fan at all. But I started with one company, and they gave me a slogan, and I remember filming those commercials, and it was just awful because I didn't like it. Was a persona, you know. I think it was called the heavy hitter. You know, call me the heavy hitter. And you've probably seen the heavy hitter in other states. I'm like, I don't want to be a persona. I want to be me, right?
Right.
And so I remember filming that, and we filmed a bunch of them, and I didn't even use one of them, and then we switched it to something else, and you learn by trial and error.
Yeah. I think starting with the TV was kind of how everybody envisioned
Right.
back in the 2010 era.
Right.
It was let's get on TV, get in front of those people, and then fast forward a decade or even 5 years, and then it started becoming what stats can we quantify
Right.
in real time? What stats can we actually look at and know who's seeing it, where they're seeing it from, and et cetera. Right. Whereas the TV, it's going to be airing at this time from this time, and you might get so many people. With billboards, so many cars drive in front.
Right.
Now, do they see it or do they not?
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah, that all gets into the, you know, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to overdo it, right? So one billboard or 10 billboards isn't enough. You know, I have close to 900 billboards around the state, right? A lot more than all the other guys combined because it's just, I'm going to overdo it. If I'm going to go in the space, I'm really going to go into the space, and that's what we've done. And sometimes it may affect my return on investment, you know, in terms of I probably could get a better return, but I just can't help myself sometimes.
So it's the element of always wanting to see that brand somewhere, so people are constantly thinking about it.
Kind of, but it's also it's a little more from a business perspective of, you know, the Amazon, the Walmart. You try to get out in the space and dominate the space and make it uncomfortable for other people to compete against you, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's kind of the point you've reached.
Yeah,
it's
an expensive game. If you want to get in Louisiana is very expensive, and the friend out of New Orleans, you know, Morris Bart, we're friends. He makes it expensive. Dudley DeBosier, they make it expensive, and some other firms, but it's an expensive game. So if you're not one of those brands that are well known, it's hard to compete.
Yeah. So for smaller firms, I mean, what can they even do to get on the radar?
Well, it's hard. I mean, the internet has changed that. Digital media. I was very happy before digital media, right? Because there's a certain amount of TV time, and there's a certain amount of billboards, right? And then this comes along, and now you've got to figure that out. And most of the lawyers who wouldn't want to advertise on a billboard or TV don't mind doing something on the internet. So it's more competitive there. So, you know, we've adapted and have shifted a lot of resources there, and I think we do very well there as well.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, how many? Do you know how many billboards are not consumed on 10 and 12 or I-110 by you?
You mean that I don't have
that you don't have?
No,
yeah,
I don't know that. You know, I think Lamar appreciates our friendship and our business relationship.
I'm sure. So coming to the branding point of actually what to put on those billboards, right? Because once you get their attention, you got to be able to deliver a message in a split second.
Right.
Those decisions on what to go on. I mean, are y'all just testing out, or is it some of just how do we communicate our message that we're going to do the best thing for our clients? Because in TV, we get 30 seconds.
That's
you
right.
can explain it.
Well, if you've noticed, and I do believe and read enough to know that keep it simple, stupid, right? I mean, you've got to keep your message simple, and you'll see through the years, mine was pretty simple. Injured, car wreck, like that, for years and years and years. And over the last few years, we've branched out into, you know, maybe a little more tongue-in-cheek, a little more fun type billboards, and getting people to smile or laugh at it. Because people do know us now. They know our name. So we're just trying to kind of keep them engaged in different aspects.
Yeah, and I think it works.
Yeah.
So for the law firm itself, the growth phase, y'all got a few different offices around the state, and y'all have some external offices outside of Louisiana?
No, we have, I think it's 12 offices now in the state. We're in, you know, basically all the markets. New Orleans, not as much for lots of reasons, but, you know, all throughout the state, and we're still growing and still having record years. And, you know, it's been a just been a blessing.
So what was it like going from one office to two?
I'm trying to think. It's kind of like with kids. You with your wife, and you bring home I remember bringing home my first child, and Riley, and my wife was like most women. They're over the moon. They're happy. They really don't care as much about you in a sense, right?
Yeah.
You brought me this wonderful joy, this blessing from God. Go have fun. I'm content, right? And that's how it was. So the one office is great. It's easy to handle. And then you get the second child or the second office. It's still manageable, right? But along about that third one and fourth one, we have 4 children, it gets a little more helter-skelter. It gets interesting, because what I never counted on, and I always thought that the problem for me, like most businesses, would be the business, getting new business, where you're selling a service or a good. It's getting customers. We've been very fortunate that has turned out pretty easy. The problem is the people inside your business, the amount of HR issues and the amount of problems that people have and they bring to the office, and how do you deal with that? How do you manage people, and how do you manage expectations? That has been the real interesting part for me as a business owner with 200 plus employees.
Yeah, I mean, being cultivated to be a courtroom attorney.
Yeah.
How do you go from always being in the courtroom to
Yeah.
you can't physically be in the courtroom?
No, can't. Nope. So then I've got to take whatever energy and talents I have or time and put it to other things. And that's largely what I do now, is spend time on the marketing aspect and trying to figure that out, the client experience, and how is that the whole process, and then trying to deal with the interpersonal relationships and issues that just 200 plus employees will bring them amongst 12 offices.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When was the point that you realized you could no longer be so active in the courtroom?
I guess it was.
Or are you still in the courtroom?
I'm not, because a lot of people know me now and they have an opinion, and I'm not foolish
Good or
enough.
bad.
Yeah, I'm not foolish enough to believe that everybody has a great opinion or a good opinion of me. And so there are people that are going to have a negative opinion. And so if I walk into a courtroom with a client, is it fair to that client for me to go try that case when jurors may have a negative feeling about me and transfer that to my client? And I wrestled with that for a long time and did some focus groups, and it's just too risky. I can't do that. Unfortunately, I have other great trial lawyers in my law firm that can go try the case, and I don't have to be the lightning rod potentially, right? A lot of people, I'll walk in and go, oh, it must be a great case. Gordon McKernan's in here. But a lot of other people say, yeah, that's Gordon McKernan. He's the reason we have all these problems, right?
Yeah.
I can't take that chance, because you've always got to put what's best for the client first.
And so how do you kind of battle that going into a room, there's going to be people with a negative view on you? Like people that you have never even met.
No.
They never met you as a person, but when you walk in, they're thinking, oh,
Yeah.
it's the Gordon.
I guess you go back to just, am I doing the right thing in life? What am I called to do as a Christian? What am I called to do as a husband and a father? And I rest in that stuff. And I know that I'm trying to do right in those areas. And if people don't like me or have a certain thought about me because of what I do for a living, I really can't do a whole lot about that. I try to stay humble about it, but it's interesting, and you can feel it. If we were, going out somewhere together, you might say, Gordon, that person was really looking at you a long time, and you're like, I just try to be nice to people, and hopefully they'll see, no, he's a normal guy. He's a lawyer, an advertising lawyer for his occupation, but he's just a regular guy.
Yeah, and I think when you have companies that create a brand around, whether it be the owner or spokesperson, anytime that individual goes out in the public, they're just ordinary human beings.
Right.
But people, because they see you in this different kind of light, they are projecting onto you their beliefs of what they think you are.
That's right.
When in reality, we're sitting down and having a conversation, you're a normal person,
Yeah, it is. But it's interesting, and that dynamic is certainly there. So I'll tell my wife sometimes if we're traveling, I'm saying, it feels nice to eat in a restaurant and not have to worry about, the person next to you, what type of feeling they may have or not have.
Yeah.
But, it's a relief sometimes.
So from the employees within your firm, do you have to have like training on how do they combat that in a courtroom? Like, has it ever come up whenever they're trying cases?
The lawyers, they're well versed in how to handle it. There are different things that we can do procedurally and try to sometimes just not even associate the firm with the actual case, right? Because it can be inflammatory for good or for bad. So depending on the case, they might do certain things like that, or other lawyers want to hit it head on, and they want to talk to the jury. Hey, you know who my boss is? I work for him. What do you think about him? And they're really good at getting people to talk. And sometimes you can bring out that negative bias, and the judge can say, "Look, you're not right for the jury." So it can work either way.
Have you ever hit a point where it was almost impossible to find a jury because they've already had these built-up opinions about you?
No, but there are always ones on the jury that you have to get off, and the judge is going to say, "Yeah, you're not fit for this jury," but not the whole.
Yeah,
not the whole jury. Man, if everybody in the whole jury veneer disliked me, that would be bad. Yeah.
Well, just maybe
bad.
contain an opinion about you, good or bad. And I think if the opposing counsel would say, "Oh, they've got a very strong opinion that Gordon's the best person ever," and
they want those off.
They
right?
want that. It's like, so you have that give and take.
That's right. That is, and so very much so.
It's got to be to come to a point with people. I mean, you can't drive down hardly any section of I-10 that's got billboards with Lamar that doesn't have one of yours within a couple miles. And so having that perception, again, good or bad, both sides, they want people that are neutral.
It's a risk to both sides, and how do you calculate that risk and work off that risk? That's up to each lawyer in each case and each judge.
Yeah. And so do you ever have people come in that say they want you to try the case, or is that kind of then when you say, well, I could, but here's from the history of what's going to happen?
No, I do, and have to talk with them, explain why this particular lawyer is well suited for their case, and that I'm not active in the courtroom anymore. And I explain to them, like, I don't know what that jury, that judge may think, right?
Yeah.
So it's better for you. It's safer for you to go this route.
Right, and it's again going back to that client first approach.
It is. That's
of what we're going to do to best serve.
That's
you.
right. You always keep the client first. You always, other business, you keep the customer first. It's amazing how many, businesses and law firms and people don't do that.
I know. It's what can we do to, I guess people still want to have that self build up, right? What can I do to help build myself up first before we get there? And it's really taking that alternative approach of, no, you came here for a service. I'll provide you the very best service we possibly can.
Yep.
And
without
sometimes it's not you.
No, without a doubt.
And do you ever have like any pushback from clients because of that?
Yeah, but usually I can talk them into seeing this approach. It's better.
Yeah, it's, again, reiterating them, we got your back at heart.
That's right.
So going into like the managing side of things, becoming and stepping out of that courtroom, like what was that feeling like going through it, knowing that you wanted to be in this courtroom, and then kind of because of the push of being so public with the brand, you can't?
Well, I guess I always look at it as I mentioned earlier, I'm very competitive. I looked at it as a competition. When I'm competing against the other lawyer in a big case, that's me against that lawyer. I just kind of channeled that energy and that drive into competing against the lawyer. Now I got to compete against these other lawyers in this marketing space. All right, how can I do it better than them? What can I do better than them? And in the first place, it always starts is with the client. If you will take care of the client, represent the client, communicate with the client, build a relationship with the client, right, to make us their lawyers for life. If you do that, and all of a sudden you got one walking billboard out there talking about me, and then you do it again, there's two walking billboards, and then you do it year after year, thousands of cases every year, you've got tens of thousands of walking billboards hopefully out there for you.
And those always perform better
than
the ones you
without a doubt
put on the side of the road.
That's right. Your Canes, right? Todd would much rather have somebody eat a great meal and go, man, tell his friend, I had the best chicken finger meal. You've got to try this. That's so much better than putting it on TV or any of your other sponsors. That's the best. Still is.
Gosh, yeah.
It's the cheapest. It's the most authentic testimonials. Without a doubt, still the best.
And it sells and connects with the potential customer way better than you sitting on a TV saying, buy my product, use my service.
Yeah.
That's using the Canes example, that's how they get people to wrap around the buildings for every new restaurant opening.
A review is nothing more than a testimonial, if you think about it, right? That's all a review is. I'm testifying to the public of what my experience was. That's no different than the testimonials we've seen through all the years on TV. It's just moved to the internet.
So moving into the internet space, and you're talking about the competitiveness, what was that learning curve like going from print and TV media to now this ever-changing digital media where people can put koozies on microphones. They can put stuff behind their head. Right here in the screen, probably somewhere
Right.
here is a logo for a government taco.
Right.
Like, how do you compete with that?
That's you hire someone like Alex, right? Alex Ludwig, who's great with the digital space, right? I tend to see things. I see themes or big pictures, right? That's kind of what probably Alex would tell you. That's one of my strengths, right? I see a concept, a theme, something like that. So I can look at things on the internet and kind of see, well, this is something we need to be talking about. But I don't really understand all the details. I guess I'm not scientific and engineered built to understand all the data and everything that goes into it. But I know where we need to be on the internet. I know what we need to be saying, and then you hire someone like Alex who comes in and says, or Bo White from Click Your Digital, who's a great guy and great friend. Those two guys come in and say, this is how we do it.
Yeah, and now I think you're starting to do a lot more TV-like stuff, but built for the specific platform.
That's right.
So like you did the other day, and kind of an educational video almost, where it was, I think, on like IG Reels or TikTok or something.
Right.
So is that branding and that marketing style of marketing kind of becoming a more of a push?
For sure.
Because you've got everything else basically in the bag?
Well, to some degree, yeah. I feel good about we're fortified, right? We've protected our flanks.
Fortified, yeah.
In the TV and the promotional and the streets and word of mouth and billboard, the digital space is just harder to control, right? And so someone like Alex and my daughter Meredith, who's in social media and stuff, they're bringing me. They're saying we need to do this, right? Because I don't understand all the TikTok generation and those things. I know when I see it, I said we need to be there. I don't know how it needs to be. I don't know if it should be me because I'm starting to get older. I'm 55 years old, and I don't think the TikTok generation wants to see an old guy up there all the time.
I don't know. They do have this character or this person called the TikTok lawyer, and he'll take questions.
Oh, I've seen that.
And then he'll like go over what the legal term is and all that stuff.
We'll probably do some stuff like that to some degree, but I think that's cute and stuff, but does it really generate long-term followers that would use us in the event or recommend us in the event of an accident?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you said your daughter's going into the marketing. Are any of your other kids looking forward coming into the Gordon space?
So I have 4 children, three daughters, and the youngest is a son. My older 2 already are in the firm. Riley is the oldest. She works in HR and operations. She's real good with just reading people and reading situations. And Meredith is a food blogger, and she's a former model from New York. So she has, in that influencer, you have to do a lot of social media. So all that talented, and we were drowning. I could see our social media is not strong enough. I said, all right, Meredith, I'm paying for you in New York. I'm paying for your lifestyle, your apartment, all your wonderful experience while you're trying to model up there. You're going to start doing some social media for me, which she's done and is doing a great job along with some other people in the company. So our social media over the last year has really picked up.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the space that is the least explored from a big corporate standpoint. How do corporations find how do they find their voice on their page that doesn't seem so repetitive?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. And then my other 2, Charlotte is my youngest daughter. She's at Texas finishing up one more year, and she says she might go to law school. And then my son, John Gordon's a senior to be at LSU, and he definitely says he's going to law school.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I got somebody to pass the baton to.
We'll see. Yep.
So going into continuing the digital space conversation, you're doing something pretty cool with some athletes.
Yeah.
The NIL deal, the name, image,
goodness.
likeness, the law that changed a lot for businesses and college-age students. What you doing there?
Oh, man. That's what an interesting, wild topic that is, and where it's going. And every day it's just something new in that space. When it came out last fall in 2020, I was reading about it and watching it and starting to see these signings that were occurring. And I thought to myself, wow, that's pretty interesting. I'd like to do that and make a little splash. But I said, I had just met Kim Mulkey, and we'd had a nice lunch. And if you haven't met her and had her on your show, you need to.
I do.
She is a force, right? Just a personality and a wonderful person with great values. We immediately hit it off. Similar values, faith, family, doing the right thing, all those things. So had lunch with her, and then few weeks later, when all this NIL kicked off, said, wow, maybe I could do something in women's basketball. And that would be kind of against the grain. And that's another thing I try to do in marketing and life, investing. So I'm a contrarian. Why don't I go cut a deal with an athlete, an LSU women's basketball player? So I did that with Alexis Morris. Did that in early December, right? And caught a little splash, and people, wow, that's interesting. Your first deal is with a female basketball player. Got the kind of the effect I wanted. And then a few weeks later, while duck hunting up in Kansas, and on duck hunts, you're with guys and you're sitting around and you're talking. You're probably drinking a little bit more than you should be at times. And news was breaking that perhaps Keishawn Butte was going to jump ship and go to another SEC rival school. And some of the people, the men that I were hunting with, including my brother-in-law, Mark Field, who's the LSU team doctor, started ribbing me. Oh, you need to go sign Keishawn. Don't let him go to Alabama. And somewhere in this couple-of-day hunt and probably too much wine and honey and testosterone, I said, all right, I'm going to do something about it. And I just literally had no idea what I jumped into with a couple of calls. Jordy Collada, I was talking to Keishawn and, met with him, and within about 10 days signed a good deal for him, I think. And he is staying here at LSU and hopefully will be 100% healthy. And since that time, I guess word has gotten out and continued to sign players and continue to do that. And that's part of literally my diet every day now in terms of, all right, which guys or ladies may we do something with, talking to agents. And that's a whole different world. All these players now have agents and advisors, and they're all trying to show. And though a lot of them aren't being paid because they want to hopefully represent them when they go to the pros.
Yeah, they're doing their pro bono, but the contract's like we're with you when you go pro.
And they're trying to show these student athletes that I can bring value to you. So when they go to negotiate with me or do a contract with me, they're just, I'm like, what are you doing, right? I'm trying to help this kid. I'm giving money, and you're just mucking this situation up. So it's a really interesting dynamic what's existing out there.
Yeah, I think the agents, some of them are going to do great things for the athletes.
I agree.
They're going to do incredible things for the players and get them the most benefit for what they're able to offer for these brands. Right. But you are going to run into those agents where they may not be so positive thinking towards the athlete.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, this is a young individual who's got, for what is, for them, potentially a large check coming their way, a large amount of money coming their way.
Right.
And they're going to look at the deal and say, oh, you know what? Don't pay me anything. Right. It's all going to be a percentage of what you make. Right. And they look at the dotted line, and it's going to be a hefty percent.
Right. So I'm in a contract negotiation this week, right? And I have my contract has been written up. And even though I'm a lawyer, right, lawyers who are smart get other lawyers to do their legal work, right?
100%.
So I've got
those that are well-versed in contract law.
That's right. I don't know that well, right? So good friend of mine, Bob Barton, right, who was the LSU lawyer for lots and lots of years and had a lot of experience with all things NCAA. He's my NIL lawyer, right? And I pass everything by him, and he draws up the contracts. And 30, 40 athletes have signed this. So I'm negotiating on a star player, if I would tell you the name, and he's got his agent involved. And I'm not paying an insignificant amount to this player, but just an example of one of the demands is that I have to put this player on my insurance policy, my commercial general liability policy.
I was like an employee?
No, he's an independent contractor, but he wants him on my policy as a named insured. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
What?
I'm trying to strike a deal, and you're going to throw curveballs at me like that. You can't imagine the demands that are in his revision of our contract. And
right.
So I'm walking. This is the second time I've walked away twice from the same player, right? And this player could have been getting paid
this whole time,
the whole thing, and it's just mucking. This player's lost now tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and I think they say what marketing and advertising is always good till marketers get their hands on it.
That's right.
Sports and deals with NILs are going to be great until some agents get their hands on it, and they can figure out a way to take what they do in the pros, bring it down to the college level, and really just slow down the process of what should be. Sit down with the business, look at the deal, say, all right, let's add this, let's take this out, Great, shake on it, let's go. Let's not have some curveball deals, because how many players and how many college students are going to think to ask,
Yeah.
can I be on your liability policy?
Yeah. I mean, for what? You're posting, and you might have to do a commercial video shoot or photo shoot for me, but that's it.
Yeah. So, like, what within the NIL deals, it's a space that a lot of people want to know more about. What exactly that we can discuss are included in these deals, or what's expected of the athletes?
So it boils down to just a few areas that they're going to provide a benefit to a business. Right now, there's all sorts of things out there that are around the country, and I think LSU will go this way, and let's call it like an exchange, where you have a non-business owner, a fan, right, a college fan, or just a guy doesn't have a business. He's just an employee of a business, but he likes a particular player, right? At other universities, I think it's coming to LSU, you'll be able to go on a website and log in and select that player and say, I'd like to get a benefit from that player, and I'll pay that player in exchange. It might be a 10-minute chat session. It might be signing an autograph ball. It might be, if you pay enough to show up, and that fan could, Venmo or wire or PayPal $200, $100, $500, right? So you have this exchange or this menu of all the sports, of all the athletes, and you can choose, or it might be the offensive line or however. So that's one thing that I think is coming, hopefully to LSU and to other state schools, if that makes sense.
So it's kind of like a cameo effect where you can like actually pay people to say like happy birthday to my kid.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Right. However they want it, however creative they want to do. It's already out there at other schools, and it's working that way. And that's a little bit different. A fan exchange, if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah, I think a show my wife watches, Cheer, on Netflix. They had a session in there where the girls on the cheer squad were doing that.
That's right.
They could pay $35, $40, and they would knock out 10, 15 videos in an hour and make like $400 or $500.
Yeah. Influencers have been doing it for a while. These B and C list musicians and actors, you get someone to wish you happy birthday or sing happy birthday to you. So kind of the same thing, but in different levels. You might want to just do a 10-minute chat, on the Wednesday before the big games. All right, tell me what's going on. What are you going to do? What's the scheme like? You feeling good? And you paid $100 for that 10 minutes or something, right? And you got a benefit in that, maybe you post, or maybe he shouts you out. You got a big date coming up, right?
Ooh, there you go.
Right? He does a little video and said, hey, Bob and Susan, I wish y'all a great time, go Tigers or whatever. So there's a world in there to do, right? The fan exchange, and different people are looking at that. Someone like me who's a business owner, it's primarily breaking down into digital media, right? So that's social media posts, appearances, right? A community appearance or a community event you appear, and or some sort of right to video or commercial photo production, right? You show up for a photo shoot, like you might have seen billboards I put up, or a TV commercial. So it's kind of those three areas.
Okay. And so like I've seen, but even for some of those areas, don't you go a little bit deeper with them on like some financial literacy training? I saw.
Yeah, so we do. We offer it. Not all of them are taking advantage of it, and I don't blame them. They're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. I try to put them and offer them to be in a position, if they want it, to better themselves in terms of a life skill or an interest they may have. So if someone wants to be a physical therapist, for example, right? Robbie Bolton, a good friend of mine you had on here the other day. I'd call Robbie and say, hey, John Doe athlete, who was an NIL deal, really like to learn more about it. Would you be willing to mentor a little bit, right? Okay. Another person may be, in real estate, and I would introduce them to certain people like that. So we do offer that to our student athletes. Hopefully, some of them are taking advantage. Most of them don't. But I want to do more than just, exchange, financial transaction. You get something, I get something. If you want mentoring, if you want any sort of relationship building, we're here for you on that.
I think that is going to play in the long term so much better than just stroking them a quick check to do a quick Facebook post or an Instagram post or even a video for their daughter or whomever. That teaching them, whether it be a financial literacy course, just what type of skill do you want, is going to get the players after their career.
Hope so.
Get them something that they can do if if something were to happen to them and they were to get injured in their sport and they can no longer play it. Now they've got this other skill within this deal that they've done that they can leverage and not just rely on catching a ball or throwing a ball or something like that.
Yeah, and part of that dynamic, 'cause I do meet with all the players, right? I wasn't able to meet with all the women LSU basketball players. I was out of town, but every other one I'm meeting with, and I'm talking to them, and there are lots of warnings I'm giving these kids, right? First out, look, don't do anything stupid, right? You go post something on social media, right? And the world sees it, our deal is over, right? I mean, you've got to be aware of that, right? And so they hear it, and they
hear you.
One of the funny things is, I give that warning. So one of the players I'm going to deal with deletes his material like every week, right? All his posts.
To like just clean slate every week?
Yeah, clean slate it. And I had no idea. And so we're paying a lot of money. I'm like, Mark and Alex calls me and says, all the posts are gone over the last. What do you mean? Well, he likes to keep it fresh. All right. Like, do you understand that I'm paying? We have a contract. Let's talk about what business. One day if you make the pros, you're going to sign a contract. There are things you have to live up to. And so you talk them through these things, right? So you got morals clauses and criminal clauses and living up to your part of the obligation, right? So it's been an eye-opening experience, a fun experience, but it's when you're dealing with an 18 and 22-year-old mindset, it's different.
I guess I never thought about somebody taking a post and then saying, I'm going to delete everything. I mean, that's
clean slate.
That's
right?
nuts.
It's all clean. It's fresh. I'm like, no, I paid for all those posts.
I paid for those posts because, I mean, you can then depending on what they're going to do within Facebook or Instagram, whether they invite you to be a collaborator, which then gives your business the ability to promote it and boost it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden that's deleted. But if you've forked out, $2,000 for this campaign,
that's right,
and they delete it 3 days into the campaign, you can't boost it anymore.
Yeah. So that's like, Bob, we need to tighten up the contract and highlight and bold that part, because so they didn't see it. I'm like,
yeah, Section A, first section,
right.
Do not delete the paid
that's
posts.
Right. That's right.
Oh, man. I didn't even think that was, again, you're talking about a different mindset of individuals who, this is so new to them, right? It's such a new concept to get paid to take a picture with a shirt, a hat in front of this thing and to post it. I mean, they're just hanging out with friends and posting and sharing stories. But like you said, now they've got to tell their friends, oh, don't take that picture of me. Don't put me in that. If they're hanging out with a crowd where they would not live up to their obligations in the contract, they have to be very aware of their surroundings at all times.
Yeah, for sure.
Which you would think would get pushed off to the pros. But now within these deals, it's nope. You're learning about it now.
Yeah. Well, all we can do is caution and warn them and educate them as we go. And it's, since I've gone in this space, I now have 2 employees that kind of work full time in the NIL space. You have to. And we have, 30 to 40 athletes that we have to look after, and we have to make sure they're posting and check the content of their post and when do you post and making sure they're getting paid and they have questions. So it's a
big part now.
It's a big operation now.
I didn't think it was going to be. I guess I wasn't aware of how big that division was.
Right. For me, it is
within a company.
Yeah. Well, again, going back to anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? So I'm in that space. I'm going to expand broadly and see what happens and see what type of return it brings me. I'm not sure yet. I do think it's doing some good things. It's probably not dollar for dollar like when you do a billboard or a digital, something on pay-per-click or something, but it's a difference, I think.
Yeah, it's that marketing and showing you're in a wider array of areas. Right. So is that going to be impacted by the platform that LSU's putting out?
The collective?
Yeah, all their streaming services and everything?
Nah, I don't think so. It's a little different. I still think the one-on-one relationship where there's an endorser or someone doing a testimonial for my company or any company is going to be paramount. And that's what really when they thought of this, that's what they intended. They intended a local hometown business partnering with the local hometown athlete, right? And both get a recognized benefit. The player gets paid, the business gets this publicity and this marketing, and it's good for both sides.
Yeah.
And now it's, leave it to humans and ingenuity to figure out how do we get around this and do this and the collectives and the directives and all these other things you're seeing. It's I do admire the creativity.
And then how do the agents get their cut?
Yeah, it's a crazy world out there now, I'm telling you.
That is. So there's two other things I wanted to talk about. The first, you had something stolen from you over the holiday season.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. So if you pass my office, you've seen from time to time I put up inflatables, right?
Yeah.
And what started as one inflatable has now become, inflatables all year round for the most part, and you change them in and out. And, that's a whole different subject, the public and what inflatable's up and why this one up and this one's down and what flag are you putting up and you need to put this flag. But you can't imagine what the public calls to educate you on or complain to you about. So,
But how you should brand your business.
yeah, just everything. So, so for Christmas years ago, my mom was a huge Christmas fan, gaudy, tacky, over the top Christmas stuff, not refined Christmas like that stuff like the Griswolds, right? You drive by and like, holy cow! So some of that rubbed off on me. So I said, all right, we'll just start putting up stuff. And I wanted to do it at my house, but my wife said, no, you're not bringing that stuff to our house. You're going to keep that at the office, right?
Yeah,
So,
you're over the top, stays
That's right.
there.
Yes, exactly, stays there. So, we had our big Santa stolen about 10 days before Christmas, right? And
I know.
yeah, and then actually I was hunting when that's a theme during the winter. I do hunt a lot, but I called when it happened, and everybody's up in arms at the office, and they're complaining, and the news ran a story. And when you think about it, it really is bad, right? Someone trying to put out Christmas spirit has another person who wants to steal the Christmas spirit, right?
And it's not a small inflatable.
No, it's a 20-foot.
It's huge.
Inflatable, and it weighs a lot, right?
Like you got to have a crew. Not one person is taking that inflatable.
No. And it's not that thin. It's thick.
It's thick.
It's special ordered. It costs a lot of money, the whole bit. So all of marketing and people at the office are up in arms about it, and so I'm just thinking, all right, how can we use this? Right? Immediately, my mind goes, all right, what can we do? I said, well, we're going to run a campaign, right? Bring Santa home. Get a reward. Let's get it going. So immediately with some local talent and some other people, got these commercials turned around, blitzed the airwaves with it. It took on life of its own for several weeks. And still today, when I see people, they say, did you ever find Santa? Did you ever find Santa? And there were some people who thought maybe I staged the whole thing.
There was that article on that Twitter feed.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not beyond doing certain things. And if you've ever asked me if I ever done anything similar, I wouldn't deny it. But
this time you didn't do it.
No, I can't say that I did. But I certainly didn't mind capitalizing on it. I think we did a very nice job. And at the end of the day, we did donate $5,000 to Sylvia's Toy Chest, right? The local TV personality, and she's a wonderful lady. So good came from it. We never found that Santa, but interestingly enough, the year before we had a smaller Santa stolen at one of our other offices, and someone with the hotline, they called in, your Santa's at this place. It's one over in Gonzales. The cops go out there, and the person right away gives it up. Yeah, I don't know how I got it. Someone else gave it to me, and so we did recover that Santa that was stolen from a year earlier, and we're able to put that one back up. But
not the big Santa.
No. So what I'm gonna do this time is the new Santa is gonna have some G logos or some slogans on it somewhere, so that if you do steal the big Santa, you're gonna have to deal with a big G on the palm or get it done across the the back or something. So
use the branding elsewhere.
Yeah, the branding will be on Santa.
Or put like an apple tile or a dot or something on it and
just
track it.
Somewhere on there, people will know.
Yeah, they'll know where they got it from.
Yeah.
So did you have people call in, because you were offering a cash reward at one point? Did you have people call in and say, if I buy you a new Santa, can I get the cash reward?
No, I didn't have that. But we had to we created a hotline. There were people calling that a lot. We had people who would drive around town and send us videos of the different Santas that they would see. Right? Yeah.
They were just trying to.
They were trying.
They were trying to find a Santa.
Yeah, really into it. One lady I was so impressed with, I tried to hire her. I mean, she just had that personality. I said, I don't know.
Like a private investigator.
Yeah, I don't know what she'll do, but I want her to work for me. It was just that big personality. I mean, that's kind of high. If I see talent, I try to just bring it in-house, and I'll figure out where I'll use you.
I love that. Yeah. The other thing was, when did you first see a meme about what you do and how you brand yourself and what went through your head?
It's been a while. There are a lot of them out there, obviously.
Yeah, there's a picture of Mars, and it's a Dollar General and a
Yeah.
Gordon sign.
I don't remember. I don't remember the first one I saw was like there's a Jurassic Park one, I think, or something with the billboards all over and the dinosaurs, and that one that may have been the first one. I just laughed. I thought it was really clever and funny. And then your friends start sending them to you, and then you'll get these ones that are maybe not as flattering. They send those to you, so I'm like, I don't want to see anymore. I know they're out there.
Yeah, just pass along from
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's at that point, people are now taking your branding and then doing it one step further. Is almost like you've built this mega brand where
Right.
people are now making fun of it.
They
And
did.
then it begs the question: is all marketing and advertising good? Is all press good press, or is there really some bad press that can hurt you?
I think Edwin Edwards said years ago, didn't he say that famous comment? As long as you don't write a story about me, you know what he say? If I'm caught in bed with a live, I don't remember, but it's a funny little story. But basically, he was saying all press is good press, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter bad or good all press is good press. I think.
Have you ever had to send out like a cease and desist letter?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
All right. What's the story?
It's been several things. And it happens a lot still, all the time. But there's been direct kind of pirating, if you want to think of our brand, and then there's been piggybacking, right? So someone may literally try to use our slogans and things in their material, right, somewhere, or they may kind of more deceptively do it, where they're buying our names and stuff, especially on the internet, and then it leads you to their website, right? There's a whole big litigation that's slowly brewing out there for deceptive advertising. So, for example, my Get Gordon, Get It Done is trademarked, and Get It Done is trademarked. And if you were to put that in quotes, Get Gordon, Get It Done, right? Let's say a client wants to hire me, another law firm may be buying that PPC term, right? And then when they hit it, all of a sudden their ad pops up first, right?
Right.
So they're using my trademark to get you to go look for them. They're buying my name, right? Or just put Gordon McKernan. They're buying my name so that when you search Gordon McKernan, it comes up. And so that's a deceptive way. And then we've also found it where they have it in their string search, in their banner, right? Get Gordon, ABC Law Firm. So yeah, it's more than you'd imagine. Then you have other states where lawyers start infringing on some of your intellectual property, and you have to send the cease and desist, right? We have people know me as standing on top of the truck, right? And so I have national rights to that brand, right? And if you want to stand on top of a truck in another state, then you got to deal with me and the production company that originated it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you could trademark standing on top of a truck.
Well, it's an image that you see, and you have the image. Yeah.
So it's a style. It's like
It's a style, copyright,
Got it.
yeah.
Very cool. So, as we kind of start to wrap up the show, we have a set list of questions we like to ask every guest.
Sure.
So the first is, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Fast twitch muscles, move as quickly and as fast, I guess, in terms of just, if you're playing a sport, just don't move as fast. I know I want to do mentally, but I can't do it physically.
The body doesn't communicate to the brain as quickly.
Yeah, I know how to do that move in basketball, but I certainly just can't do it.
Or you can, then just the ankle gives away or the knee gives out.
Exactly.
Then you're going to see Robbie.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, the body breaking down. So do things that I once could do with my body, maybe I can't do as well.
So for the next question, what started out as a true legal career has kind of led now to this marketing, branding career. You've done a lot of different things, and so you've probably learned a lot of lessons along the way. So what are 3 lessons you've gathered throughout your career?
Persistence, right? Just be persistent, be dogged, right? Never give up. Be curious, right? I mean, that is, and I tell all my young attorneys, be curious, always asking questions. I can't stress that enough. And then be humble, right? I wasn't expecting to be where I am today. I had no idea this would happen, right? And in the face of the success and things that we have, I still try to remain humble about where I've come from. People may not believe it, But I know what I'm trying to work on each and every day because I think I'm supposed to. I'm called to by my faith, right? To remain humble.
Right. And do everything as if it was your first time.
That's right. Yeah.
So what is something you love about Baton Rouge?
The people, great people, great culture of people. And the culture here is just not the people, but it's the experience, it's the fun, it's the food, it's just a certain way of living life, right? And I'm fortunate enough to be able to travel a lot, see different parts of the country and the world, and the people and the culture that exists here. It's not like any other place. I mean, it's just friendlier and more hospitable. Let's have a good time. It's just really, really special. Obviously we have some heat and traffic and crime and some of those other things.
Yeah.
And I think if the people and the things weren't so special here, we would really lose a lot more people, right? Because we do have some disadvantages in the state. And hopefully one, group of elected officials is going to figure it out for us and straighten it up, whether it's locally or statewide. But the people here and that culture and what bonds them, it's just a melting pot when you go back. Who discovers the French, the Spanish, and all this, and you mix all that together, you get this wonderful blend of culture and personalities.
Absolutely. And it's if all the people can do one good act a day, we can all work towards striving as
That's
a whole to
Yeah.
get to a great, amazing state and city.
That is true. You'd be surprised, just one little act of kindness,
Oh, yeah.
how far that can go.
So for the final question, what can I do to help you?
Have me back on your show on the 888th episode. I'd like that. If we figured out, it might be 5 or 6 years from now. For me, I just pray for our city, pray for our people, pray for me. I'll pray for you. That's probably the best thing you could do for me.
Well, absolutely. I'll definitely keep you in our prayers. And 888, that's your next episode to come
that'll
back
be the
on.
next
However long
episode.
it is down the line.
It'll be a while. Hopefully we're both still here.
That's right. Whether Barrett lets me start picking up a lot more shows and a lot more episodes during the week here in the Fly Studio, or what ends up happening, we'll figure it out. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
thank
Gordon.
y'all for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for listening, whether you're watching or listening to us at whatever platform or version you're consuming the show. I really appreciate it. I know the guests do as well. Thank you so very much for Gordon and his time for coming on. And if you're in any sort of legal trouble, whether it be injury or whatever other aspects you find yourself in, make sure to give them a call and let them know the Patty G Show sent you. So, guys, this has been the latest episode of the Patty G Show. I'm here with Gordon. Thank y'all so very much. And thank you again to the wonderful sponsors that make this show possible, with a little bit more about them right now. Thank you so very much to Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, the latest Patty G Show sponsor. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers is serving up hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy, crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, fresh coleslaw, and mouth-watering cane sauce. So y'all stop by for meetups and wind-downs, lunch breaks and dinner fixes, pre-games and after-parties, or whenever your chicken finger cravings hit. I know my chicken finger cravings are hitting right now. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love. Thank y'all so very much for listening to this episode of the Patty G Show, brought to you by Government Taco. They're located on the corner of Government Street and Jefferson Highway. Jay is always slinging up a new taco of the month, so if you're a frequenter to Government Taco, let us know in the comments what you thought about this month's taco of the month. If you're not a frequenter, maybe trying out this month's taco might just convert you. Big thanks over to them at Government Taco for making the Patty G Show possible. Thank you so very much to our sponsor, Falaya Real Estate. They are the all-in-one real estate platform for you, whether you're buying or selling. They've got options starting out at $399 to sell your home. The average lister saves anywhere from $7,800 on their closing of their home. It's really incredible what they're doing with it. Barrett is amazing at Falaya. Jacob, they're going to help you through the entire process from start to finish and really treat you like family.
At Horizon Financial Group, we enjoy helping others achieve greater confidence, clarity, and direction in their lives. We realize everyone's path to financial success is unique. Sometimes you just need a friendly guide along the way. Whether it's customized financial planning, individual wealth management, or servicing your company's retirement plan, we've got the team with the experience to help you reach your goals. Horizon Financial Group, helping you provide, protect, and prosper for those counting on you. Visit us at horizonfg.com. Cetera Advisors LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Cetera is a separate entity.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. How they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible. Thank you so very much to Mallard Bay Outdoors, the Airbnb for the outdoor sportsman. If you're looking to book a hunt or a fishing trip, this is the platform to use. They were a past guest at the Patty G Show. We got to learn all about what they're doing from the ground up. They are really revolutionizing the booking process for hunts and fish all across the country. For your next hunting or fishing experience, or maybe your corporate retreat, you're looking for something to do for your employees, book a hunt or a fishing trip with Mallard Bay Outdoors, and they will take care of you every step of the way, from organizing it with the guides and the captains to making sure you can take care of them at the end of the trip. Mallard Bay Outdoors, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show.